welcome back to the Wicked Wild Podcast, a feral podcast for the uncivilized horror fans. And ladies and gentlemen, it is the end. It is the last movie selection in Dave's block of movies. And this one is so Dave that it is likely just being outside checking your tire pressure as we speak. It's that Dave. So we're going to talk to my hosts and introduce you to who we've got tonight. And then we're going to get into this fun little movie romp, as we'll call it. First, we've got Eli, our Pittsburgher. How's it going, Eli?
Sup. My bro.
So, as I'm watching this, and this has some Eli energy. Let's keep it real.
Let's be honest. I'll be honest. Except for the creepy parts, I'm sure we'll get into. There's a certain character in this movie that if Eli took a different career path, it would be Eli. Let's be honest.
I don't know. No, I will not insult you in that way.
Oh, thank you.
No,
but it does lead me exactly to my question for the night, which is what would be your favor that you asked for from your guardian angel?
Oh my God.
Oh man. I mean, there's so many that comes to mind.
I know vengeance is involved. There's no question.
Power, control, vengeance. You know what I think could be?
You would go through this entire ordeal to ask one question or ask for one favor.
I'd ask one favor, and my favor would be when I tell people the truth, they believe it.
Because it hurts, doesn't it?
It does hurt. Week after week, I'm warning you people about what's coming, and you're all laughing. Well, keep watching the news because I don't think we should be laughing very much longer.
Yeah. And every time you laugh, Eli has one tear that swells up in the corner of his eye.
No, I'm not going to say
that much.
Whether it's AI, aliens, or whatever, when they take over the world, that my goal in that moment will be to get one broadcast out to humanity before the end. And
just to say, I told you so.
Yes. People are like, oh, it's to help, guidance, support, hope. No, it'll literally just you all hearing, this is your Mole King speaking. And just want to remind everyone, in case you did not remember this moment, I told you all.
And you get what you deserve.
Yep.
Bye. Well, on that chipper note, honest note, but chipper note, let's introduce our other fellow host, Jaime, up in the great state of New Jersey. How's it going, Jaime?
Sure.
How's the holiday season treating you so far?
Shut up.
Don't talk to me till after January 1st.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So I'm going to ask you the exact same question. Let's say you go through this entire ordeal. You have to shave a man's back on a reg just to ask one favor of your guardian angel. What's going to make it worth it?
To be fair, as I was watching this, I was thinking that there's probably literally almost nothing that I would go through this whole ordeal for. One, because I'm just lazy and not motivated enough. Two, because there's semi-gross stuff in it. But three, because this is the most fucking boring ritual I've ever seen in my fucking life. That's because oh my God. That's a loaded question and not one that I was prepared for.
That's kind of
I wasn't even quite sure. I mean, it seemed, and someone correct me, can you literally ask for anything? Like, it seemed like anything.
Mm-hmm. It's like a genie moment.
Yeah, it was like a genie. And you can go the not selfish, but like the what's it called route where you ask for just like money or whatever.
There's always a cost though, Jaime. Just remember that.
Well,
you can ask for anything. There's always a cost.
The cost in this one is you have to sit through this fucking ritual for fucking, like, I don't even know how we will get there at the cost of this, which is why I'm saying there's literally almost nothing that I would sit through this ritual for.
Was it the back shaving or the blood drinking or the whole
it's
thing?
it's the whole, it's also how goddamn boring and tedious this thing is, like, and nonsensical. This sounds like whatever, and I'm just going to take an approach of like, I don't mean to break, we've had conversations here. We all know each other. I'm tired of like just being unhappy. It'd be nice to just have like a happy, not even complacent, just be like happy and joy, add joy into my,
just a baseline of joy.
Yeah. It would be like a different, I know
you want that Willy Wonka
like,
effect.
I just want that, like, I don't know. I just want like
you want that Willy Wonka effect, right?
Yeah. No.
Just about 20% less despair, I think, is what Jamie's asking.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like.
Oh, I thought you wanted Willy Wonka it.
Get rid of some of the mental health issues.
You can stand in a room full of children dying by candy Oompa Loompas and stuff a smile on your face. I thought
get rid of anxiety, Dave. That would be a big one.
Like across the border, just for you.
Well, I don't care about everybody else. I'm a selfish bitch. Just
as long as you don't have anxiety anymore.
You can't even like bring Dave and I in on this.
Oh, you guys, of course. But I thought it was my personal. You have my personal.
Now I can see Jamie.
I'm not giving it to everybody. You guys can be in it, but I'm not giving it to the whole world. They deserve the anxiety that I've had for so many years.
That they've caused.
It to some other people. Yeah.
I'm kind of loving the mental image I'm having because I am seeing Jamie going full Office Space. Lack of anxiety, like just I wouldn't say I'd be missing it, Bob. just not caring about anything anymore. I think that would be a fun Jamie to hang out with.
Oh my God. Let's hope. Maybe we'll
isn't that what happened to him? Like he just didn't have anxiety
caring. Yeah, he basically just stops caring, or to some degree. Would love to get to that point.
A classic movie. I'm gonna have to watch that again.
That movie is so fucking good.
But before we talk about this movie, but if you weren't paying attention and blindly punched buttons on your podcasting machine, is our review of A Dark Song, a little indie romp, of course, because Dave is that kind of annoying. But before we get there, we are going to have Eli bring us up to speed on what's going on in the world and natural, supernatural, paranormalness that's all around us in a little section we call The Wicked Whispers.
I think a better question would be, what's not going on? Because there's a shit ton going on right now. A video came out this week where some folks were fucking around with a green laser, and they saw this light in the sky, and they thought, just effing around, they pointed the laser at it, and then watched as it moved in a manner that no ship known to humans can move away from the laser. And so then they go to move the laser again, and they watched as this thing is just avoiding the laser, moving in a pattern that our current technology can't move. And then you can almost hear someone in the video go, that shouldn't do that. And then they quit. They quit immediately. So people are thinking that's a pretty clear UFO video. It's actually being looked at right now to make sure it's real. But so
just
far,
proof that we're in the Matrix, which is what I've kind of come to.
It could be that too. Could be that too. So like they're looking at that. I wish I could say that's the only UFO video, but no, there's like so many UFO videos coming out a week that, and not even that people are just throwing on YouTube. Like they're being submitted to the NASA boxes. They kind of took out, like they started that reviewing those officially. So that's not terrifying that we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, but can I ask you a question? Because you're going to go into this next in a second.
Yeah.
But like with AI at this point and everything that's as good as it is, why are we believing any video we see of anything anymore? Which is kind of sad. But like what I mean is like, we're going to start getting submissions of videos for fucking everything.
We are. But as of right now, I will say, because that is probably going to change very soon.
Yeah.
As of right now, our software can actually easily detect.
Okay.
Even like software available to the public can easily detect the sequencing in the video to know whether or not it's AI. Now,
okay.
I would not be surprised. There probably is already AI out there that exists that we can't detect. Or is very extremely hard to detect. But right now, with the type of AI that is commercially available to most folks, it can be easily detectable, run through the software. So if you ask me in like at the rate AI is moving, 30 days, I'll probably say maybe. But right now, I can still hang on to that childlike hope that
well, isn't the ironic thing is that the thing that we use to detect AI is in and of itself AI. So it's literally like asking a thief if they just robbed you.
Well, go, to my understanding, there's the easy way is using that AI, which you are correct. But there's also like, it's not analog, it's still digital through the computer, but there is still like, I would call like a more analog system where you like kind of run it through this reader and you look for a sequence of code that like there's tags made by AI currently that it's from an AI source. Like I said, there's probably AI out there now or will be coming out very soon where that's not the case. But right now, quotation, it can be detected. But there's also some AI alarmists who are like, hey, by next year, we're not going to know. We'll have no way of knowing. So like that, this area that you can breathe right now, people, where you're like, well, we can still tell. That is very quickly coming to an end. Well, very quickly.
All I know for a fact is that Greedo shot first and everything else has been propaganda.
Until AI tells you otherwise.
Yeah. Greedo shot first.
AI tells you otherwise.
Han Solo is a hero.
So there's aliens all around. So that's cool. So we're still dealing with that. AI as we go. People are concerned because AI are now starting to make videos that people aren't prompting. It's just making it because they learned to do it now. So much so that a guy tried to use AI. There's a video of Trump looking at a iPad or a computer or something, sitting at a table at some kind of dinner. People are like using AI to try to put stuff on the screen. Well, now AI is just doing it. And so a video came out of him watching the anime Attack on Titan, which shockingly convinced a lot of people that's what he really was doing. And then it came out like, no, AI just did that. Just did it. So, and like, I'll be honest with you, like when I first watched, I went, holy shit, he got caught watching anime. There's no way. There's no way. And then I started looking to him like, damn, that looks real good. So that's not terrifying. Which brought up another point. It came out this week that they believe if you thought that, hey, we got through a hard election, next one will be easier. Nope, because they're like AI is learning about politics and how Americans do politics, and then people with like misinformation campaigns. They said unless you are physically, like one AI alarmist estimates, unless you are physically in the room with the candidate, you probably shouldn't believe any ad or anything you see
ever again.
So like, that's great. So anybody that thought like, hey, this is the last hard election for a while, right? No,
it's just the last election period.
We're in the end game now. Like this ain't the it's gonna be better next time. Oh no, people. Like AI is taking over and moving at an alarming speed. Every time you talk to one of these guys that worked on it who are now like raising alarm, you're like, well, you said a month ago we have 3 years, and they go, well, actually, we looked at it. It got quicker. We're looking at maybe a year. The last thing I looked at said 6 months. 6 months, and AI will be 500,000 times smarter than the smartest person on the planet. So, great. So that happened. There's some more Mothman sightings, more Bigfoot sightings. There's a team currently right now diving and investigating for Loch Ness Monster after a video came out a couple months ago. That was probably the most shocking video I've ever seen of Loch Ness Monster. So they're currently diving looking for that, which I have to say, don't we have drones for that? Because I'm telling you right now, if I had evidence that this giant prehistoric sea lizard was swimming around in a loch, I would not be swimming in there.
Why not?
Just seems like a bad idea. You know what I mean? Just seems like a bad time. It also came out this week. It was being estimated that primates were starting to use tools and stuff. Well, they've been studying it, and primates have reached their Stone Age, according to many scientists. So if anybody who didn't have Planet of the Apes as a sign of the apocalypse, I would add that now, because What's one more to throw in the fucking list? Just one more. There's not enough. Let's just add another. Let's just add another. Planet of the Apes. Who would have known?
I'm confused then. So where in the world is Ape Adam and Ape Eve then to start this new civilization? Because obviously that's the way it started.
Well, I think they found Ape Adam when they found this monkey who made a fucking spear.
There you go.
A monkey made a spear and was fishing. When did the fucking monkey start eating fish? I don't know. I don't know. But they are.
It's the old saying. You give a monkey a fish, they eat for one day. You teach a monkey to fish, you fucked.
Dave, they fucking taught themselves, man. They taught themselves. Like, what? And then, like, the other thing that came out this week, if you don't think the animal kingdom's trying to kill you, the alarm's being raised in the Everglades because, as people know, snakes have taken over the Everglades.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. For the last couple of years, like all these pythons and like large snakes and like that people either got for pets or because Florida's a little lax with their animal laws about what you can buy and keep down there. People will let them go in the swamp thinking it's a snake. They live in the swamp. You cannot find a mammal. I think the last estimate I read, you can't find a mammal within like 6 miles of the center of the Everglades because they've eaten them all. So then because there was none of those, the snakes started eating each other and alligators. And
the snakes ate alligators, or alligators ate snakes?
The snakes are eating alligators and other snakes because there's no other food source because they ate it all. So then they're like, well, hey, let's just go in. We need to start killing some of these snakes for the population. They went in there, too many of them. So then they designed what they called the Judas snake, which was a snake that they put stuff within its scales and injected with stuff that it would mate with these other snakes and basically like make it where they couldn't mate anymore. So they're like, well, they just won't create no more snakes. There's too many of them. So now apparently the next move, hear me out, hire mercenaries. Mercenaries. Let me repeat one more time. Mercenaries. Because
like
they
professional soldiers.
Mercenaries.
To kill snakes.
Because there are so many of them and there's such limited food and they're so fucking big that they are concerned, naturally so, that the snakes are going to be like, well, we must leave this area to look for food. So if they can eat alligators, they can eat children, was what one article I read, argued by this environmentalist. So that's great. So, anybody didn't have the movie Anaconda as the way the downfall of the US, I'd add that to your list. Because that's happening now. Like, I don't even know. Like, we have a month. We're not even a month away, people, from the end of this year. And I thought aliens, AI, whatever. Nope. All this other stuff. And then I'm sure next time, because it just got announced that when a big part of the ice shelf fell off again, like 2 months ago, scientists found these more prehistoric seeds, which they don't know what they were. They're growing them. So like there's a science thing that just keep finding these fucking seeds, unthawing, and they're just growing them. So we got that happening too. So yeah. So that's where we're at, people. This year, just to recap, aliens, ghost, AI, apparently giant fucking snakes, Bigfoot, Mothman, the cordyceps, like The Last of Us. Shit, they just keep finding in the ice and growing, which doesn't seem like a great idea, but they're doing it. Whatever. And then alternate dimensions. That's 9. One for almost every month.
It's almost as if we don't want to live anymore.
It seems like it. That, or
Which
like
is fair.
maybe the Earth just had enough of our shit. I haven't decided which one yet.
Yeah, I have to say the Everglades thing, that one I hadn't heard of, and I did just look it up. And it seems like it's legitimate.
Yeah, it's been an issue apparently for a couple years. That it's one of those things where like people were like in the air, like kind of sounding the alarm, and then like local scientists like, oh, we'll do this Judas snake thing, like it'll be fine. And now, because that's what we like to do as humans, people will come and be like, hey, there's this start of this problem that'd be easily manageable for a little bit of money. We should take care of that. And we're like, nope. And then like a year later, they're like, oh, by the way, there's giant fucking snakes taking over Florida. We're like, why didn't we do anything? What can we do now? Fucking nothing. Hire mercenaries. I don't know.
Well, either way, it sounds like we are seeing history in the making.
Oh my God. Can't believe you just said that.
Skills of ecology.
You know what? I hope they head to your house.
This is a upsetting tale.
Oh, man. Why are you the way that you are? So you won't be laughing when a 16-foot anaconda is like wrapped around your truck, Dave.
Stop reading my dream journal, my man. Me and Freud were all about the 12-foot anaconda.
You even whipped a Freud joke in there.
So we are going to start talking about our movie now.
Mm-hmm.
Eli, thank you for that. I mean, obviously, it's hard not to become numb when everything is terrible. I get that, but you keep the passion coming, and that's why we salute you.
You know, I don't know if it's passion or just at this point, my brain sees all this stuff in the news. I'm like, what do you think?
I think the AI has targeted you. I think that's what's happened. Is
I am afraid of the AI.
Your algorithm is ripe with possibilities at this point.
Yeah, that's probably something I should have considered when we decided to start doing this a year ago. The Wicked Whispers. I
can't imagine what your phone feed, any of your social media. I can only imagine that it's just a garbage fire all the time.
I'll be honest. If Mary ever saw what my TikTok feed looks like, there'd probably be some phone calls.
And an attorney might be involved.
Attorney, doctors. I don't know.
So we're going to get into our movie review of A Dark Song now. And as we always do, we're going to start with our on the fly synopsis. And Eli, my boy, you're going to be my interviewee this evening, since last time Jaime was my interviewee. So my question for you is, if you were going to take on the trials of the Obermelin, which are what this movie is based on, a really arduous set of trials, a tough ritual, and you're going to hire somebody as your guide through this, somebody of experience that you're going to be like literally locked in a house with for 6 to 12 months at least. Who are you going to pick as your guide? I'm going to give you a couple of options, some solid options, some solid, professional spiritual guides to help you through this arduous task. Okay. First option you have is Carrie Russell.
Oh my God.
Excellent spiritual guide. Be fantastic to help you through the trying times that are set before you. Or if Carrie's not your flavor, maybe Nicolas Cage can walk you through the Abermelin.
You picked these two on purpose.
He did.
You know what? I can't believe I'm going to say this. I would not choose Carrie Russell because we all know she's just in there for the paycheck, and she probably doesn't even know what she's doing.
There'd be murders in the first week.
Yeah. As much as I think there's a good chance either he dies or I die within the first 11 hours, Nicolas Cage is actually in real life somewhat into this stuff.
He might actually know what he's talking about.
He actually might slightly know what he's talking about. I think I would have to go with Nicolas Cage.
Fair enough. Well, that's me, obviously.
How dare you compare Jaime to Carrie Russell? Jaime, I want to apologize on the behalf of you. Have to be compared to her.
Here's something for you. I'd rather be with Carrie Russell than fucking Nicolas Cage. Oh, you know what?
That's fair. I mean, but did you watch? Don't you remember Antlers?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I still am going to pick Carrie
It's a movie.
I don't rewatch it. I think you'll see the fault in your ways.
No,
I think either way, I just triggered Eli, which was the whole
you did.
exercise.
You did. I
Having
knew
to be stuck in a house.
As soon as you say Kara Russell's the first one, I'm like, I ain't gonna like the second one either.
No, of course not.
So, A Dark Song, an Irish film, independent horror. The plot of this movie is very simple. It's a one location indie film. It's more a psychological thriller than a true horror. But the concept is we have a mother who has lost a child who has hired a sorcerer, for lack of a better word, to perform what is called the Abramelin obstacles or the Abramelin ritual, which is a real ritual that the stuff in this movie is loosely based on. We'll get into that in a minute. Her goal is, she tells the sorcerer, her goal is to talk to her son again. But apparently that's not true. And because it's not true, the supernatural part of this movie goes off the rails in a hard way. And as we always say, shenanigans do truly ensue in this movie. That's the whole thing.
Bravo.
Right?
Bravo.
So, Eli, I'm going to start with you tonight because we hadn't talked about this movie at all. I don't get to talk about this movie much with anybody because it is such a unique flavor. This is like, I don't even know what to call. This is like my Vegemite. Very few people have seen the movie or thought or talked about it, but I am curious if you had ever seen it, what you think of this movie. Give us your rundown on it.
I have seen this movie before. I like this movie, but I am also one who will stand up front at the beginning and say, this is not for everyone. This is not a... You
can say it's not for Jaime. You can just...
Well, it's definitely not for Jaime. I knew as soon as I saw the list, I was like, no, Jaime's not going to like this. I wouldn't even say this.
At least you guys know. At least you know.
I mean, I would say this is one of those movies that is probably not even for the average open horror fan, I would say. You have to like a certain kind of tale to like this movie. I like it, but then again, this is probably one of those films. Like if you look at like the kind of the lore, especially like the more modern lore behind like ritualistic magic and like what they were kind of doing in this movie, this is real accurate to that because it's not a short process. It's a weird process. And like it's not this like we're just trying to get the genie to do something. Like there's all these costs and rules associated and like all these things you have to follow and prepare and these rules once you're in and like it's insane. So like I've always found this stuff interesting. This stuff actually is happening. Not now to the ending. Do they actually get to what they're achieving for? I don't know. But people who actually actively do this still to this day. I mean, there's even famous cases of people and groups who still do this. If anybody's ever looking for a weird story, before old L. Ron Hubbard started Scientology, he was working with people who was doing this shit. Some who were actually working at NASA at the time, creating rocket fuel. So like they were doing this stuff and trying to get these beings. Like this is something that happens. So like, I like this movie a lot because like you kind of see that. Now, a lot of the people that do this, I'll be honest, if you like look in real life, big weird nerds. But like this kind of takes it from like a darker approach, which I enjoy. It's very atmospheric. It's a very slow burn. And I think it's one of those movies too, like when it gets to the end, there's almost the ending fits naturally with what occurred, which I think could also be off-putting people because they're expecting this big like, ooh, ending. Like I went through all that slow burn and it's not really like a guttural or dark ending. It's not really like an explosion ending. It's just
an ending,
an ending, which kind of fits what this is. The movie's also really smart. Like if you watch it, like they have all these open threads and like they close all of them, but you kind of have to watch it a couple times before you kind of realize realize that everything is tied up at the end almost perfectly, which is kind of very smart. So like I really enjoy that. And for the fact that it's only like an hour and a half long, they do a lot in that half hour or an hour and a half, excuse me. So I like this movie a lot. I really enjoy it. It's one that you can't, I'll say I don't watch often. Like I watch it like once a year since it came out. I think it came out like, it's like 2015, 2016.
Yeah. 16.
16. I typically watch it like once a year when like I'm in a weird mood, or if like I happen to be reading like Lovecraft too, like because Lovecraft was kind of obsessed with stuff, and a lot of this stuff shows up in his works. Like I'll get an itch to watch it again. But I enjoy this movie. I like it a lot. This was a really good pick, Dave.
Yeah, it has the beats of a cosmic horror.
It does.
So,
and like even like his interpretation, like their interpretations of things were very eldritch in its view. And like I know a lot of people when I say that, they're thinking like there wasn't no spaghetti monsters. That's not what that means. Like that's you pleb. Read a book. But like they went with these like very like eldritch, almost Lovecraftian views of some of this stuff, which I thought was a really good pick without falling for that age-old issue where people, when they use this stuff, they think they have to stick to certain aspects of Lovecraftian, which very rarely works, just because like it's one of those you have to be all in or out, and like no one ever is. But no, this is I like this movie a lot. It's very interesting, and like it's a good movie.
Yeah. It's never going to be commercially viable.
No,
I'm glad that he had the opportunity to make this movie.
Yeah.
So.
And I'll be honest, a lot of these like eldritch or these films like this that do that, they always work better with independent films, I think. And you can disagree if you want, but like I find because there's not as many hands in the pot, like producer, studios, whatever. Like these guys that have this vision for it, or these people, like they follow it through real nicely. Whereas like I would bet money if something like this was turned into a commercial movie, it'd be shit.
Oh yeah. No question. Yeah, we had this conversation last year when we did Let the Right One In, and then they did the Western version, which was a soulless piece of garbage. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting in horror that happens a lot. Like the first movie is something somebody's been given a couple of nickels for a budget, but they're given full creative freedom, and then they make a movie that once it's successful, then the studios see the money and then they ruin it. So we've talked about that more than one time.
To get Jamie a little excited by mentioning something, I'm really hoping with Terrifier series, especially how successful the third one was, that we kind of see a resurgence in independent horror and save us from this commercialized bullshit. Because I just can't do it much longer.
I just can't wait for Megan 2 to come out.
Oh, you're the worst.
All right, Jamie, we've held you in suspense long enough. You and I had a long conversation before we got on here about how this is dethroned Terrifier as your top horror movie of all time. So all joking aside, I know this is not your kind of movie. I appreciate your endurance on my behalf. I didn't do it as torture, but tell us about your experience. I'm assuming your very first experience with A Dark Song.
I'm gonna bring a throwback into this. Why do you hate me, David? Of course, this is my first time with this movie. I had no idea what it even was. I looked it up, and to be fair, from the description, I was fine. I was like, okay, whatever. There was nothing from the description. It's like, okay. This movie, correct me if I'm wrong, starts with like a Bible verse. So Jamie was just like, okay, check one for something that goes against everything. Then a cross in the logo, check two. I have very few notes on this movie, but I think my succinct opinion of it is this last thing that I wrote. And I wrote, I don't know what happened in this movie, nor do I care. I just want it to end.
You endured it. You got to the other side.
I mean, and Dave, I watched it with like not working, you know what I'm trying to say? I sat down, lights down, watched it. It was movie night. This was the movie. So it wasn't like a, distracted watch or half watch or a working watch. It was a real
You gave
watch.
it every opportunity.
I sat there and endured. I did. There's a scene in this movie where she's just sitting and staring at a rock. That's kind of how I felt through most of this movie. I would have rather have been staring at a rock than things that happened in this movie. You guys are going to explain a lot to me. To be fair, that's what I'm waiting for. Because, listen, this movie is about them doing the most boring ritual I've ever seen in my life with a little bit of sexual assault thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just repeated over and over and over again for 7 fucking circles or whatever we have to fucking get through. I learned one thing, right? Was I right with the number 7? Not 7 circles.
Yeah. Nailed it.
I did watch it, see, guys, but I was just that's what I'm watching. I'm watching a fucking ritual for 7 circles. And to be fair, my personal opinion, this movie is I said it right out loud. It's oh, this is a Dave movie. It takes place in one location. It's got some, I know Dave, whatever. That's fine. But these are 2 of the most unlikable people I've ever had to sit through a movie with.
It's like being stuck in an elevator with Kerry Russell and Nicolas Cage. Right?
Kerry Russell and Nicolas Cage might provide me more entertainment than these 2. These 2 are so unlikable, at least to me, that I am stuck with these 2. I don't even want to root for either of them. I want them both to die in this movie, and that's all I'm hoping for the time it's over. I have questions, but not, this is not a Jaime movie. Talk about slow. This is beyond slow. Literally, I know you guys will explain things to me if people are super into ritualistic stuff or a cult or things like that. I mean, maybe there's joy there. I even found that part of it boring. I mean, I'm not super into that, but these all just seem very boring. It's a lot of her writing on the floor. It's a lot of her just staring at things. It's a lot of her peeing herself or getting drenched in water. And it's just I get some of what's going on, but it's and then it's we're done. Let's do it again. And then on top of it, it's that, but then we're just chilling at night and smoking and there's nothing I was just nothing in this movie engaged me, but we know my type of movie. This was never going to get Jaime, but I don't know. I think I was just surprised even by how slow this thing is. And to me, there's no payoff in this movie. And I don't mean it has to be, Eli was right. There's no big explosion. There's no big, but I mean, to me, there's just no even payoff. by the end of this, I'm not even trying to be a dick. I just wanted it to end. And every time I thought we were there and they cut back to the house, fuck, man, just end. At one point, I thought they were going to cut to black and it would have kind of been just kind of shitty, but I didn't care because it meant the movie was over. Let it fucking end like that. I don't really even fucking care.
Give me the stupid ending. Just end it.
Yeah. And you guys will tell me, and that's my opinion on this movie. And we will talk about it. So I don't want to interact. Dave has to give his opinion. But I just want to understand, even though we're going to get there, do we raise demons to raise our guardian angel? What the fuck? You guys are going to explain this to me? What? Because at one point, I think he even says something about demons and or angels. So you have the chance of getting either of the 2. Is that what we're because we'd have a lot more fun with demons and a lot more demons.
There were demons there.
Yeah, but they were not excited. We should have had this sooner and more. We
even had maybe a spiritual character that we've talked about several times in Campfire Tales. We had Mr. Black Dog in there for sure.
Oh, the dog. Okay.
Okay, so
anyway, that's my opinion, obviously.
The only chance I thought this movie, and again, and I'm not joking, I didn't put this on my list to annoy anybody. And Jaime, I think you know me well enough to know.
I know you well enough to know that. And they're your movies, Dave. You could put whatever the fuck. That was the point of this whole season.
Exactly,
that was the point.
Remember when I made Jaime watch Congo?
Yeah.
But Jaime has seen Congo as a child.
But, I thought the only way this might have endeared itself to you, Jaime, is because it's such an emo movie. I mean, it is an incredibly emo movie from
fair, if you want to say
if you teen angsty emo Jaime might have at least enjoyed the vibe of this movie, but I knew it was never going to be a movie that was going to break into your top 50 horror movies of all time. But So let me explain why it's on Dave's list, and importantly, why it's my final movie on my list. It is. You had Pan's Labyrinth as your final, and Eli had The Devil's Backbone as his big finale. I mean, usually your last movie is the one that you, and we've talked about this with both of your alls, that you identify with fairly closely, like you just identify with the movie. So this movie. I think I saw it on Shudder. I think it first came on Shudder because it was one of those indie movies that had zero theater. I mean, it never came to theaters. It was always, I think it's an IFC Midnight, if I remember right. So it was always going to be one that was going to go direct to streaming. But this movie really caught me off guard. And part of that is because of, what was going on in Dave's life in 2017. And part of it is because Dave is, and you all and I have talked about this before. Dave's a fairly melancholy guy to start with. And this is a melancholy introvert's like wet dream kind of movie. That's what this movie is. And I had never seen a movie that really seemed to have done its homework in what the occult actually is. Like these endurance rituals. You're exactly right, Jaime. Your reaction to them, I think, is very accurate, but that's what they are. I mean, and we've joked about, but in real life, to some of the stuff that Eli's brought to Campfire Tales, when you get tied into these occult things or cults in general, the practice or the rituals that they put you through are to tear you down. They're supposed to make you malleable. They're supposed to make you susceptible to suggestion. And the easiest way to have people do that is to put them in an extreme mundane situation, like complete, like sensory deprivation. And that's so in that way, I think this is fairly accurate. That's the purpose of these kind of rituals, is to make you sort of put yourself into a trance state, a suggestive state, so that you can either see your guardian angel or see a demon, all of that stuff that's going to happen, whether you believe it's actually happening, or you believe it's happening in your mind. The whole point of putting somebody through all of that stuff and just wearing them down and grinding them down is to put them in a state to where they can mentally get there. So I thought it was interesting because that's a hard thing to film. And you always think, and I had done some study of what the Abramelin obstacles was before I'd seen this movie. And I'm like, God, it's hard to visualize what that would be like, just because literally in the real ritual, they tell you to prepare yourself for 10 to 24 months of complete isolation, eating very specific things, doing very specific things, no technology, no entertainment, just putting yourself in a box somewhere just to get yourself to the state. And the whole point of it is to put you into a suggestive state. And I thought that, and to a point you made, Jaime, earlier about it being so mundane, I would illustrate what's going on in this movie compared to, the famous hacker movies of the late 90s, early 2000s. When you saw a hacker in a movie, there was always some cool graphic on the screen, and they were making 3D obstacles, or objects on the screen. And we all know that's not how actual hacking works. It's just lines of code. But it doesn't make for a very interesting visual. Well, I thought it was really intriguing in this movie that this is how this stuff works, but it's still visually stunning. Like the landscapes and everything's really beautiful. And even when you're in the house, everything's got an atmosphere to it, but it's the lines of code. It's not the whiz bang of the demon possession movies that we're used to seeing. This isn't Constantine occultism. This is something that's probably a little more rooted in quote unquote reality of what those things are. So that I found that very engaging and interesting to me. I'm also a sucker. I mean, look at the movies that we've done in Dave's block. We've done The Strangers, we've done A Dark Song, and we've done crap. What was my first one?
I'll talk to Jane Depp.
Yeah.
Great
all of these are like extremely small casts in one location. They could all be stage theater plays. So Dave has a type. These are my strong independent brunettes. This is Dave's type of movie kind of thing. I love these kind of movies. I love the humanity of these kinds of movies because as somebody who is melancholy and empathetic and generally considers the human race a lost cause at this point, it's these movies kind of trigger the empathetic part of me. And you're right. These are both awful people, but they're broken people. Like they're real awful people. Like they're not super villains or anything like that. These are just people struggling with how broken they are, which is intriguing to me. There's something about this movie as far as being a slow journey that I like. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but I really do enjoy the beauty of the humanity of this movie, and I love to hate these characters for reflecting back on me some of my own challenges and weaknesses from both of them. So that's why it's on the list and why I made you all endure it. But I will open it up before I get into some of my questions. And what do y'all want to talk about? And Jamie, obviously you said you had a lot of questions, but what do you want to?
My questions were just like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? But like, what? I mean, I guess whatever. I guess there's not a real answer. But I mean, there's not a. Why is this guy such a fucking dick? Like, why is he so mean all the time? Like, I just I don't know. He's my only other character, and I fucking loathe him, and I loathe her too. So it really does not matter.
Yeah, he's a selfish prick.
He's like not even he's just like mean for mean's sake. You know what I mean? Like, like there's literally no reasoning behind.
Like going out of his way to be mean.
Going out of his way to be like extra. Is this the breaking down? This whole movie broke me down. Is this movie a ritual? Were you guys trying to break me down so I'm susceptible?
We have some news, Jamie.
Listen, it'll be okay. Honestly, though, like that's a type. Like if you look at these guys that did this, they're like that, and you can look at it from a couple different ways, right? You can look at it the way of, okay, if this is real, right, then you now have a person, and he even says it about like he's looking for the knowledge. Like they've seen the inner workings of everything.
Of the cosmos, yeah.
So nothing here matters. And like, it's always about getting to, getting back into that mechanism. And like a lot of times with this like ritual, with like these ritual things, like, or even just like, not like Harry Potter, like Expelliarmus, but like, if you look at like occult real magic, everything comes back to one thing, and that's intent. And you have to be pure with your intent from the start. Because if you're not,
well, she lies 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
like
you can't lie to the cosmos,
or whatever.
Right? And you can't.
Well, lies twice. The last time is real.
And like rituals are so specific, and like and that intent matters so much. And a lot of times, if you look at these rituals, intent could mean opening the door to something that should not be able to get through there. And like, they kind of show that in a couple points of the movie where he's like sigilizing these areas where like they're hearing stuff. He's like, they can't come through there. And so like, if you look after that, it's like, that's why he's a douche. But if you go with Eli's theory, it seems like a lot of these fellows who, especially like famous ones who are known for this, were all douches because like they probably were picked on in high school.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say.
They have luck
power
with the
they
ladies or had a lot of friends. And now they're in this place where all of a sudden they're like Grand Poobah. I mean, a real famous example is to be like Aleister Crowley. Like this was Aleister Crowley's world. And like when that dude,
this was the ritual he did that started him down the path of everything.
And so like you get to a place where like all of a sudden everybody's looking at him either as the grand, the most supreme being with all this stuff, or B, as the guy who is haphazardly using this stuff to bring the end. But that power came with something, and he just got weirder and worse the longer it went until the day he died. So like the guy's a douche, but like I appreciated that he made it that way because like it was so accurate to like a lot of these guys how they are.
I mean, I get it. That makes sense. But and also though, unless I misunderstood what she was talking about earlier, but like also wasn't he like her fourth choice or fifth choice? Like, didn't she go through all that? Didn't she contact a whole bunch of other people?
Well, he asked her about that.
And didn't he say he's only done this 3 times and twice it hasn't worked? Or something like this is the conversation I kind of remember, but like I could be like, mixing information because I
don't think they
sleeping during half of it. No, joking,
but like honestly, like once again, intent matters. Like I know, and maybe I missed it, but like I don't think she said why the others didn't, but like intent matters. So like
they didn't say why. He just he did say what. No, he did. He mentioned. Now I should have written down the conversation.
He said he's done it 3 times. It worked once. It didn't work twice.
No, but
he says why. He did. He says why.
Why she didn't go with the others.
Oh. They probably all turned her down. I have no idea. She probably told them love also, which is the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to turn you down, lady, when you say I'm doing it for fucking love. I'm done.
Yeah, he walked out at that point.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing. That one, why didn't she go with her kid conversation in the first place? Because that's actually a reason that people might. That's a reason. You tell me you want someone to love you, I'm just going to fucking laugh. Like this is like a love potion and like whatever.
I don't even know. Because like a lot of this, like if you look at stuff, a lot of this ritual stuff, like the intent wise had to be for like a lot of them wouldn't do for vengeance because like
that's why she went with her kid speaking to her kid.
But that's why it also opened the doors for demons because like typically your guardian angels aren't here to avenge you or they're not out to seek your vengeance. Like that's like opening the door to like demons. So like she's probably honest with the first guy, like vengeance. He was like fuck.
Oh, and he said no. Yeah, and then she went.
And so then the second one, she's like, I'm gonna make something up, but like. Where like this guy, you could like obviously like this guy probably wasn't. You could tell he wasn't very good because
he's chaotic neutral at best,
and he made a fatal. Flaw with his own intent, which got him the result that he got. But like he was like, oh, I don't care, I'll do it for vengeance. And like anybody who's like established, like I think like even Aleister Crowley, like I don't think he ever did anything for vengeance. Because he knew that opened the door.
Vengeance wasn't late till later. The original, ask was love, which was dumb, and he goes no. Then she says the one thing she should have said to everybody, if she's gonna lie, even she should. I need to talk to my dead son. Someone murdered my son. That is the reason you give. I'm sorry. That's the one.
And even he says that. Well, that's something we can work with.
Yeah. And that's so he does his intent for in the beginning for doing it with her. Then he knows she's lying out of fucking nowhere. He knows she's lying, and
not from nowhere.
I can't remember
because how the ritual's going. He can tell she's lying.
It's not working, right? She's
but then when she says it's vengeance, and he's just like, "I thought you wouldn't do it," and he was like, "I would have still done it because
he says, I don't care why you're doing it."
That's okay. That's what.
And so like that also shows that he's really not great at this because like now that's opening him up to a whole issue, which is once again why he got because his intent wasn't great. That's why he got what he got.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting as the character in this movie who is aware of this cosmic realm, that it's all very real to him. Like his request or his favor is going to be invisible. Like literally, he wants to just go be left alone until he has to go to hell. And I felt very seen in that moment. Like if I had one wish, it would be that nobody could bother me for the rest of my life. But it was interesting that that's the thing that kind of person would want, was just peace away from people, just to be invisible. So I've got a question for you all. Do you feel like who do you think is at fault to the thing we're talking about now? Who do you think is at fault for the ritual, quote unquote, drifting, which is what you would call what's happening? You know, obviously, you know, just to give a little background from the mechanics of what I understand, and this is not totally my world. I've read some of these books. I've read the Book of Oram and stuff like that. My understanding of once he closes the barrier, which is what he tells her, we can't leave until we're done. There is no timeout. There is, once the salt barrier is broken, that house is like moored to something beyond the mundane plane. So when things start to go sideways and he tells her, I don't know what you are lying about or what you've done, but because I can see I know how this is supposed to work and that it's not working, you've got to be honest with me. Because, literally, he says, I don't care what that is, but we've got to get back on track. And literally, I have to drown you to get you back to a position to where this stuff can work. But is it her fault or his fault that the drift starts?
I feel like a lot of this is her fault. I'm sorry. But this is going, okay, I don't know anything about this. I'm watching a movie. So I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a piece of art. But no, I feel like whether he's good at it or not, or whatever, she's lying from the beginning. I feel like, I don't know, but she's frustrated, which I feel like can't be part of this whole thing. Just being frustrated in this process. She does leave before this is over, right? Remind me when she leaves. I know she leaves after, spoiler alert, after he's dead or whatever, but she's not done with the ritual. So she does leave. I don't know.
She breaks all the rules. She breaks every single rule.
He might be bad at it. And he might be, you guys tell me about his portion of not holding up to, because I don't know, for all I could tell is she hired a man to do a job. He flat out says it's only worked twice, whatever, but they're gonna do it. Whether he's doing something wrong on his end, and whether that's actual technicality wrong or his intent or something behind him, I don't know. But from me watching it, and I'm not even fully pulling blame, but from the moment of the beginning, she's lying constantly, not lying constantly, but I don't know. Her putting pee in the thing probably doesn't help either. In his food, I feel like she's doing little things that she's supposed to be on this strict regimen of this, that, and the other. And she's kind of all over the place. But what do I know? He's also all over the fucking place, because there's no sexual acts in this ritual. And God help us, we fucking have the weirdest way.
That's not what he said. He told her there was, but not with her. Now, that seems gross.
No, later he says there's no. He said there's no.
Right after he says there's no sex magic in this ritual. Yeah.
Yes, he says that
with her. But
no.
He said
that to her, and then
he goes, "I have to do this to clear my head." Which in rituals, for the people leading the rituals, there is normally a ton of masturbation involved. That is just a thing.
Great, but what I'm saying is, I know what you're saying. He does. So what I'm saying is,
I'm not saying that's right.
Because she says to him, and he goes, there's no sexual whatever with you.
There's no sex magic.
But then after she says something, I think in general in the ritual, and he says no.
No,
and she calls him an asshole or whatever.
But he said, but what he said was,
I know he has to cleanse his fucking
right, and that is not part of the ritual. But that's part of his preparations. It's weird. These people are all fucking weird. I'm not saying this right. I don't want anybody to think I'm defending this guy. But in his mind, I think this was part of his preparations, she had also taken before they even got to the house, because he's leading this. Where it all went wrong was from the very beginning was their intent. He was willing to do almost anything to get his wish. It didn't matter what her intent was. So his intents were purely selfish.
Okay.
In a lot of these ritualist things, there is a degree to what selfishness you can have in asking for these things. And then she was lying from the beginning about her intent, which is an issue. Plus, her true intent was vengeance, which is never a great intent to begin with, because that is now you are, because they kind of talk about, as soon as you're going with vengeance, you're delving into dark magic, which is the highest cost to conclusion ratio, if you want to call it that. Vengeance costs the greatest. Now, she was starting to change, which is why things happened the way they did. But if you look, it literally took a life. The ritual changed to her needing a life to get what she wanted, or to see her guardian angel, and that life was his. And but his life also became a forfeit if you look at all these rituals, because he came in with bad intent, but his intent was not clear. He wanted peace away from people before he went to hell. Okay. You're going to lay in bed and suffer till you die. So now you're being used for the ritual and you're getting what you wanted. Because that's how you ordered it. This shit gets real, which is also why I like it, because I could sit here and do this all day. Real wacky schmackety with rituals, because there are the most minute shit can change everything.
Yes. So with that point, they do a lot of minute shit that should change everything, and she still gets her fucking like wish.
Or does she?
Well, I don't know, but I'm just I'm just saying though, like we are seeing with her, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the evil jinn. You know, the genies were the jinn demons. We all know that the wishes never actually pan out the way it's like the monkey's paw. Sure, you're going to ask for something and it's going to seem like I'm giving you what you want, and then it's going to turn into the worst possible thing that happens. That's what this is, and that's why the ritual is so enduring, is because literally you better be sure when you get there, you know exactly what you want. And I think that's the point that Solomon's making with her. You can't go up here, whether it's a demon or a guardian angel, with some half-baked idea or concept of what you want. You better know what you want, because whatever it is probably going to be horrible if you don't have it fully baked out. And, you know, the reason I asked the question, and I do think there's equal blame in the ritual turning out the way it does. I am of the opinion that it's her fault. I mean, just because of the choices she's made. And the reason I kind of lean more towards her is because of the conversation she has with her sister. Like, her sister gives her a full out. We know that she had this horrible thing that happened in her life, which nobody should have to endure, of losing a child, especially in the way that she lost it, that was probably the hardest thing for me to believe, was that in this modern time, she knows that her child was abducted to be used in a satanic or occult ritual. So her vengeance is going to be, she's going to have the devils come take the people that took my kid away. That's not bizarre. How demons work.
It was bizarre. that whole.
There, no, correct. But when they said that shit still happens today. I mean, there's areas of Mexico where like this is a huge threat to children, because like certain sangria practices, they need children for like their necromancy and stuff, that like these people actively, like, is it real? Probably not. Yeah. But like they think it's real, and like they do that. So like when they said that, I was like, and then if you think, if there's 3 or 4 people in her area that practices this form of ritualism, I could see
I mean, I guess it seemed odd, but it was also intriguing at the same time that that's the route she would take. She's been in a mental health facility. She took herself out because she finally had this quote unquote plan. But the way she ends her conversation with her sister, who says, just come live with us, we'll take care of you, is don't ever reach out to me again. Don't ever contact me again. I'm like, okay, well, you've already made a decision at that point. So I think she's a bad fruit before the rest of the whole situation gets underway. Like, she's already made her mind up that she's going to burn the world down. And I think that's why the ritual goes the way it does. I mean, even in those really creepy moments where she's like at the door talking to her quote unquote son, and you hear and she knows it's not her son, but she still has this conversation with whatever's on the other side. And you hear the dog coming, and then you hear the dog tearing apart the child on the other side. And he tells her, you know, that's not your son. She goes, I know. But she's still entertaining this grief inside of her. Like, she doesn't know how to get past it. This whole thing has consumed her. And realizing that she doesn't really have a request to make of a guardian angel or a demon. Like, the whole process is just her grinding herself down. So it's not going to work, in my opinion. I think she is bad blood from day one. And literally when Solomon tells her you have to go through the forgiveness part of the ritual, and she says, I don't do forgiveness. I don't, period.
Yeah, right there. I thought then this is all, because this ritual is very, 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 very specific,
strict,
right?
Yeah.
Very strict, very specific. And she's allowed to just say, no, I don't do that. No, that's where I don't do. And we're going to keep going. Like, I forgot about that part, Dave. Like, if you're, and the part that bothered me about that too is like, I get the reasoning in this movie, but I'm just going to, the part that bothered me is originally her motivation. I didn't like when you think it's like to talk to her dead son. Like if you're going to do this long, tedious, arduous ritual to speak to your son, you're going to tell me the one thing you're not going to do is the forgiveness part just to get to that end goal. Like it's annoying.
Red flag of all red flags.
Yeah, it's just like you're doing this for.
I think with her mind though, right? For the forgiveness was to ensure that it was going to be her guardian angel. I don't think it mattered to her if she made a deal with her angel or a demon. And when she said, "Can we work around the forgiveness part?" and he was like, "Yeah," because then he knew like, we're going to be dealing with a lot more demons. And then that you saw those scenes where he's like she'd hear the knock, whatever, you'd see him write a sigil on something to prevent that. Like he knew what
was coming.
Yeah. We're not dealing with one door. Now we're dealing with a minimum of 2 doors, and one of those doors is real bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not a situation of them getting to something. At that point, he realizes because of where she is mentally and spiritually, things are going to come for her.
Yeah.
Because she's a tasty nugget at that point.
Can we talk about the things that come for her? This was to me the least threatening of whatever bad that was going to come.
You didn't like those demons?
No. Not only do I not like that. I mean, some of them were like, but it was still somehow boring. And then she kind of just like slowly gets away from that. Like she just kind of is like, get off me. Kind of like, I don't know. I
have to say the one scene that made this movie top tier for Dave is the cigarette smoking scene.
Oh yeah. That
is probably the best framed, creepy ass scene that I've seen in any movie of any budget, of any scale, because we've all been there in a dimly shaded room where you think you see something on the other side and it's just creeping up because you know something is looking at you. And then literally you put your candle or flashlight over there and it's a coat. It was like such a well-structured scene. And literally to see the cigarette and the smoke coming off of
no
it.
Ashes. When she looked at that ashtray and that cigarette was there, and the fact that it was burned down to the bud, but the ash was intact.
Yeah.
It was like, holy shit.
Yeah. And it was there like 5 feet from her the whole time. That was a great scene.
That was the only cool scene of this movie.
Oh. See, I didn't mind the demons. I thought it was a cool take. And like, it was also interesting because like the demons weren't going to kill her there. They were taking their price for her to ask for the deal.
If this movie turned into like Hellraiser at that point, maybe Jaime would have been redeemed for sitting through an hour and 20 minutes or whatever.
I don't know. I think the one that had the Bordizos had a certain pyramid head kind of vibe to him.
He's dragging it along with him.
No, I couldn't. I just couldn't. I actually saw someone. Wait, you guys! I saw someone. I don't have it pulled up in front of me, so I'm not gonna search it. But like, whenever I watch most movies, or especially kind of more when I don't like a movie, I go right to Letterboxd and I start reading hilarious reviews because like the 1-star reviews. Because if I don't like it, I find them funny. And one person wrote like, why did her guardian angel look like an end boss in a Dark Souls game or something like that? And I was just like,
oh, see, I didn't mind his look. Because once again, like it wasn't like
it's
that.
Fine, but are they not wrong, Eli? Like, come on.
No, they're not. I mean, it literally looks like was it Melania or whatever in Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, I don't remember.
It literally looked like that. But like, I also liked it because they didn't do like the easy like like general like angel look. Like it was kind of this eldritch looking angel because like, but also when you're dealing with this stuff, it's not like the angels people think of. Like it's all different. So like I didn't mind it. I liked it.
Yeah,
I just found that comparison funny.
Well, we'll get there because that's close to the end, and I want to save that just a little bit longer. I know we're getting long on time, but I'm enjoying the conversation. This is the whole reason I wanted to talk about this movie. But the other thing I wanted to ask, because we kind of talked about it a minute ago, we've got Solomon and Sophia. They're our entire movie. They're the only 2 people in the movie other than the other things happening. But which of them do you think is more honest as a human being?
Oh boy.
Oh,
Exactly.
well, I think that gets tough because like he's probably about as bluntly honest throughout the whole movie. It's just when he chooses to portray that honesty. Whereas like with her, she may have been very honest before this, but
yeah,
then,
that's
like,
what I was just gonna say.
But now for her goal, and which is weird because like she said she'd study this before she decided to do it.
Yeah, she did say
but
that.
She obviously didn't study very well because she was just lying like a motherfucker through this. But then the other weird thing, which to point out, is at times the movie gives the impression that she may have been trying to do her own ritual.
Yep.
So then you have to figure out.
Wait, previously or during this? What do you mean?
During this, she was doing her own, like there were
side missions,
like side ritualism that she was doing, like that whole thing with the pee in his soup.
Yeah,
that wasn't just because she's like, I want you to drink my pee. Like
I thought it was. It wasn't just
there's a ritualistic aspect to that, and so then like, because like then you can make this whole argument that since she knew more than likely because it was vengeance that she was going to have to make a deal with the demon, it was going to cost a life. Well, she's doing this side ritual to ensure that it's his life and not hers, which is even more fucked.
Well, even when he gets dragged off, that's when she goes upstairs to see if she can complete her ritual.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't go after him, the dead body. She watches the body get dragged off. Then she goes upstairs to check the room. Because the human sacrifice has been made. No, I'm with Eli. I think here's the way I read the room. You know, they're both dishonest, but his, like, on the face of it, honesty is so measured and so calculated. Like he tells her the truths he wants her to know, and he's calculating exactly what he needs to tell her to get her to continue to do what he needs her to do, even to the awful scene of sexual abuse. Like he gives her the information he wants her to have to get what he wants from her, because it's all about him and what he needs. So his honesty is deeper dishonesty, where she is lying to him, but she's lying to him to try and manipulate him to get the actual honest thing that she's after, which is this vengeance thing. All that matters is the vengeance. So her lying is to get to her truth, where his truth is just to get more of what he wants. Like they're both manipulative people, but he seems to be a lot better at it because he's so measured and calculated in what he's sharing with her and what he's getting from her. I mean, even to the point of, I'm not sure it was not him that was marking out the spell books as he went along, and not some demon who came into that. I think he was sabotaging the ritual to keep it going because he was continuing to get what he needed off of her to get to his end, his ritual ending. So I think,
once again, is so accurate to, like, if you look at like the actual stories of occult people, like this happened when, like I said, once again, the guy who found Scientology, Oram Hubbard, he was doing this for a long time. And then like there was this thing where him and this other guy were like they had this common goal, but they were really like kind of doing their own thing. And it ended with Oram Hubbard still in his boat. You can look this up. This is real stuff. Like, and it's so accurate because like typically people that do ritualism, very few times is it for the greater good.
Oh, that's like
for your own cause.
That's Aleister Crowley all over again.
Yeah.
He never had an actual partner. He had people he used throughout his entire life.
He took over ritualism groups. And he's like, yeah, I'm your leader. And it was just for him to get more magic.
I mean,
or money.
This guy keeps reminding her that she needs him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he spends the whole movie telling her, like, you need me. Like, you'll be lost if I. Yeah, like, or he'll be like, do you know how to do it? Like, you know, which again, like Dave pointed out, she does say in the beginning that she studied. Yeah, probably not as much as him if he's been doing this for a very long time, and she's just started to dabble or whatever in it. But like,
well, because like even the weird thing was like, even with his selfish ways, right? He is still, because if he's really done this and he knows he's going to get a wish off this for helping her, even despite the cost, it's a better outcome if she asks her guardian angel. Whereas with her, she doesn't care who comes first.
Right.
And so there's this whole thing because he's lying to get what he wants. He's lying to make sure he gets the best outcome for what his wishes. But then it's also of him just telling her what she needs to know because she's lied so much and her intent is questionable, that he is now lying out of necessity to ensure the ritual he thinks he's running is going to go smoothly. So this movie is real complex because there's all this because neither of them are good.
Right.
But the argument's made she's much worse.
And the whole purpose of this ritual is to expose a person for their actual intents. The whole purpose of the Obermelin ritual is to get you to a state where you can't lie to yourself anymore or lie to other people. You got to endure. And, just to add a little more to the cake, from my understanding and, of reading these things, the other thing to keep in mind is because Solomon has gone through this before and it has worked once, he can no longer perform this ritual without another person being the focal point, because there's a concept in occultism called the veil. The veil is what we all live within, where the supernatural, all the things we joke about in the Wicked Whispers and stuff of, ghosts and the supernatural world, it's on the other side of the veil. And as long as the veil is there, there is a certain tempering of power. But Solomon, because he's gone through this ritual and he's either seen a demon or a guardian angel before, because it succeeded, the ritual succeeded. His veil was torn at that point. There was no longer an ability to have faith, which is what the whole ritual is, to get you to a point of faith to where you believe so much that it conjures up or it inspires your guardian angel or the demon to come to you. He can't do that anymore because he's seen it. And literally, as these weird things are happening, like the gold sprinkling or the knocking and stuff, he's like, oh, it's begun. And well, there's a sign. It's because he knows. So he can't do these rituals anymore without a volunteer to get there. The only way he can now get the things he wants is to use people trying to do these really hard things. So it's also important to understand that he's manipulating from day one, and he's pushing on her, to your point at the beginning, Jamie, of the way he's bullying her is to make sure that she's going to endure all the things he's going to put her through. He's going to torment her and he's going to abuse her through this process. He just needs to make sure that she's got the mettle to be abused, which is an awful thing to think, but that's the kind of person he is.
I feel like you can get that point across with kindness more than you can with meanness. Listen, darling, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but remember what you're fighting for. I'm going to be right here in your corner as I'm pouring icing cold water. To be fair, I'm watching a movie. I'm not going through this. And I told you in the beginning that I would have given up on this because I'm lazy and I don't fucking care. I would never do this. But
here, drink my blood. I'm out.
This ritual didn't even seem that bad. She wasn't even put through, I thought there was going to be torture and come on, ice water. People were doing that as a fucking challenge years ago. And drink some blood. Come on. And sit and stare at a rock and pee yourself because you can't move. These
but
things.
You're talking about repetition.
I know.
She sits there for 3 days is what he says. And then we're going to do that 7 more times or 6 more times.
Well, what's funny is he says sit there for 3 days and then it cuts right to a scene of her walking in the bedroom out of nowhere. There were things so the pacing in this movie, not even the pacing. I've said it's very, very slow. I don't mean that kind of pacing. And I'm sure it's done intentionally because it's not like this is a sloppy movie or anything like that. But the cuts in this movie, I just did not like. I didn't like going from her sitting there staring to her walking in her bedroom. Because I literally went, wait, I thought she has to sit there for 3 days. And it didn't feel at all. I know she peed herself once or something, but it's literally right as she peed herself, she's walking there. I'm well, was she able to just go to the fucking bathroom? I don't is she, what, how long did she sit there? Then again, them just smoking together and having meals. I'm sitting there going, well, this doesn't seem that bad because she doesn't even seem that broken. She's sitting here having fucking grand old time smoking and talking about whatever and having dinner together. I know there's more to it. I'm not trying to, but I just felt like that was a little I don't know. There are moments where she does seem like she's beat down. And then there's moments where they're just how many, we could do this for fucking 37 more days. We're cool. We got this. I don't know.
Well, I think it's there is a compression of time because obviously they're not going to keep the camera on her for an hour as she stares at a rock. But at least for me, it did communicate that, months had passed between a lot of those kitchen table scenes where they're smoking and talking and getting more frustrated with one another. And she gets more and more impatient of why isn't it working? Why aren't there any signs? And then, there are some that show the seasons are changing. So we know that months have passed, but at the same time, there's also this constant anticipation, which I think is really well crafted in this movie. And an example of that I wrote down is, when he realizes she has lied to him and the ritual is kind of cursed at that point and he has to get it back on track, he drowns her in the tub. And that whole frame scene where half of the frame is the bathroom door and it shows him backing into after he's drowned her and she's lifeless in the tub. He walks into the frame. We see half of him. Well, the other half of the frame is the stairwell and there's nothing there. But if you look closely at it, the focus of the camera is on the stairwell. It's not on him. There's more lighting in the stairwell than on him where the action is actually happening. And there's this at least for me, a really interesting vibe that's being communicated there of dread. Like we have unmoored from the mundane at this point. Like this is when the ritual actually starts to work. And if you think about it, after that moment, when he makes the decision to do that, that's when things really kick off. Like from him getting stabbed and, the sounds and the golden flakes showering down. But that scene does a lot of communicating with a little bit of suggestion there. Because the whole time, at least for me, I don't know about you two, but the whole time, the way it's framed, I can't help but focus on the stairwell. And I'm waiting for a head to pop up or a shadow to go down, but I'm just looking at the stairwell and nothing's there.
I was waiting for a jump scare, but not like a major jump scare, not like a theatritrical jump scare, like you close the mirror and it's right there. I was just waiting for a
light move or something like that.
Yeah. A shadow, like something just like
which is also really smart because you have to imagine people doing these rituals, like they're not big grand signs they're going to get. Like they're getting these real small, and like a lot of it is just spent staring into a space, waiting. And like that's kind of like they did this a couple times, and I thought it was really cool how they did that way.
Yeah, and I mean, literally, that was the whole thing in the Greek times. Like when you went to get your fortune read, you stared into a black mirror.
Yep.
For days until you saw something. Whether you really saw something or not didn't matter at that point. You had been there, starving, dehydrated, staring into a black mirror. You're going to see something at some point. And literally, a good example of this, and this is such a stupid story, and I don't know if I've shared it with either of you before this, but when I was in college, I was in a psychology class where the professor mentioned in passing that you can induce hallucinations through sleep deprivation. Like people had done these studies before, and I'm like, So I stayed up for 8 days straight.
You did?
Yeah. I drank caffeine. I didn't do drugs or anything, but most people that do that kind of fatigue thing, they'll do drugs or something to keep. But I just went on walks around campus, and literally, like on the 8th day, it was a Tuesday. I remember I was in an engineering class. I sat down. I was totally gone, like mentally, physically exhausted. I was a blank slate at that point.
That's a long time.
I sat down in my engineering class and an eyeball opened up on the blackboard, looked around and closed. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to bed. But having put yourself in that state, you realize how this stuff actually works. Like if you get your brain to a state to where it's eating itself, you can see whatever you want to see.
Yeah. That I was up for 5 days for a previous job. And I was so tired. And I remember I was driving and I just happened to look in my rearview mirror.
Should never be driving. Went up for 5 days straight.
I wasn't really not ultra, but then
I just want to say that
I kept seeing like someone sitting up in my back seat in my rearview mirror. And I remember like, I wasn't afraid.
I could see Jaime just rolling out of her own car, just opening the door.
Because I think like the little part of my brain that was still kind of working was like, you should go to bed. And I remember like after like the third time seeing, I was like, I think I need to go home and go to bed. And I was like, I was like, all right. I was like, hey, I want to take a little break from work here. Go take a nap.
But to this day, to both of our points, to this day, that's a clear mental image I carry. That it is, at least up here, it is a very real thing that happened, a profound thing that I experienced, which is strange.
Yeah.
But that's the state he's putting her in. So how much of it actually happened or not, it doesn't matter. But my final question, and then we can talk about whatever else y'all want to, because I have strong opinions and they may not be right. But do you think that Sophia actually redeemed herself at the end?
Oh, no. No. And okay. She asked for forgiveness. Me personally, I think this was part of her plan, because I think
the asking. Wait, which part? What's part of her plan?
I think because she was doing this side ritual, I think she wanted to make a deal with a demon without the cost, and then she would get to a point with her guardian angel. Then she would ask to be granted forgiveness. Because I think in her mind, if she asked for blanket forgiveness, she would learn about to forgive these people and then forgive herself and then be forgiven for what she did during that ritual. But by the end of the movie, like there's a cost to all of this. So you have her first thought is, I'm going to put his body in a lake, which he's missing.
Yeah,
there's a body in the lake.
She was the last one. She rented out this house.
She rented out this house, which is fucking destroyed. Yeah. She didn't clean it. She left. So like, there are still consequences to become. And I think that at the end, when she asks for forgiveness and you see her angel smile, it can be easy to see that in a sense of, oh, he's smiling because she learned of forgiveness. Whereas in my mind, because like, obviously she is shown throughout this that as much as like, he's like trying to break her down to see this, she is still doing these side rituals to manipulate the game per se. She still
thinks she's the smartest person.
Yes. And when her angel smiles, I don't think it's because like, oh, she finally brought forgiveness. I think it's more of a, I see what she thinks she's doing. And like, okay. Because you can forgive yourself for what you did and what happened to your son, but the consequences are still coming. Like she is moving like somebody who's like, I got off this scot-free. The body doesn't sink, still floating in the fucking lake. And the house is fucking destroyed. Like consequences are still coming. She just thinks she got away with it. And like a lot of time with these rituals and like when you like read about people who claim they dealt these entities and stuff like that, there are like rules in the sense of you're never smarter than them, no matter how much you think
they're cosmic beings. Yeah.
There's no tricking them. There's all this stuff. And like when I watch this movie, the way I perceive it, with her side quest of like her doing her own ritual to manipulate how this is going to go, like, and then she gets to the end and it's like she manipulates again. She thinks she manipulated again. Like, oh no, you're just now in the beginning. So that's how I took it.
Okay. Jaime?
I literally
don't care.
This movie and said, what the fuck? I don't what you want me to read it again? I don't know what just happened and I don't care. I want it to end. But to Eli's point, I mean, that's why I think I asked you guys before, like, just to answer you, like, I think that's why I asked you guys before, like, if she keeps lying and she keeps doing these other things, she's doing side risks, why'd she still get her guardian angel? So maybe she did it, or maybe it, you know what I'm trying to say? Because technically it's either she did it, like it's either there's something more to it, or apparently you're allowed to just fuck up this ritual all over the place. But this ritual seems so fucking specific and, you know, grounded in all these truths and intent and all this stuff, where these two people are just a fucking mess. Like, I don't think these are the right people to do this ritual and still get the outcome that you deserve or want, or the like, you know, like, so to Eli's point, maybe not, but I also, and I don't even mean this to be a dick, I don't care at the end, because I have no connection to her. I don't give a fuck if she gets vengeance. I don't care if her fucking undead child comes walking through the lake at this point. Like, at this point, I just wanted this to like end in whatever way it does. That she fucking gets forgiveness. That's the most predictable thing of this whole movie, because it's like the one thing she wasn't willing to.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's just like,
but to your point, because like I argue too, like her finger gets cut off because she made that second deal. She's made 2 deals. She's doing
shit all over the place.
That's also a no-no. You should never have deals with multiple entities. Should never deal with one. And she also made that mistake.
I also didn't know, and before Davey tells what you think, but like I didn't know how much, to the point of her like lying or doing side deals, whatever, again, because I don't know anything about these rituals or like, but like, I don't even know how much of what she just even brought with her was a no. Like, she hides this picture, she hides this toy. I know that's also because they are things of her son. I'm not trying to, but I don't even know how much of this was like, don't bring personal things with you. Like, I don't know what's in these rituals as much as like how much she just did her own way.
All that stuff, those were all of her side rituals. Like, that was all of her, like, those, like, and even like things with pictures, because there were like rituals with pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, everything that it showed of her doing on her own, these like things that kind of seemed weird or petty, that was all her doing this side thing to manipulate the main thing so that she came out a winner on all fronts.
Yeah. So if that's the case, either this woman is a super occultist and she knows more than everybody. You know what I'm trying to say? Which I don't think is the logical answer in this movie. Like, I don't think she knows more than him. I do think she had to pay. Well, to your point, maybe she had to use him, but I don't think this character doesn't come across as that. Maybe it is like she's the super, or like you said, she thinks she's getting away with these things, and like that's not the end result. Mm-hmm. So Dave, tell me what she did. Okay.
So here's my perspective on it, and the reason I think that this is a much more insidious ending than we are being led to believe on the surface. So, while they're doing all of the prep and he's testing her and making sure she's purified herself and doing all of that, and then he finally preps the rooms and he seals the house. He says, "This is your last chance. If you're not committed to doing this, you can leave now. But after this, there is no leaving the house." And the only time that Solomon really loses his shit is when she goes for the door, like when she goes to leave. And he says, "You cannot leave this house or we're both screwed. Mm-hmm. You absolutely cannot leave this house. That is not an option, no matter what you think of me or what's going on." And this is the guy who's been here before. And he has the knowledge that he talks about of how the mechanics of the cosmos works. He says, you can't break the barrier, because once you break the barrier, we don't know where we are. Like, dimensionally, we are not in the same place you think we are. And if you break the barrier, then we're stuck wherever that is. And then she does that. Like, she gets to the point after he dies, and after, she looked for the books. She doesn't have any options. She can't keep the ritual going because she doesn't have the knowledge or the books to give her the instructions on how to do it. So she breaks the barrier. And at that moment, she is wherever that is.
Like Silent Hill?
Yeah, she is in
Silent Hill.
Yeah, she's in another place, and she is going to be stuck there forever. And so she leaves, the car won't start, so she has to walk. She walks around to come back to the same house, which isn't the same house. And that's when everything pops off, is when she goes into the house, the new house, wherever she's walked to. But throughout it, I think the thing that illustrates all of that to me is before he seals it, he said, "I'm going to seal the house in the morning. You should go for a walk. It'll be your last chance until we're done." And she does that. And she's standing there looking over all of the majestic landscape, and looks over, and there's a dead dog, like with maggots all over it. Very, very dead, fake dog. I mean, again, I appreciate the art direction team making it obviously fake, but the symbol of the dog is constant throughout the rest of the movie. Like, do you hear the dog outside? Is like the first thing he asks her as a sign that things are starting to work. Like, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There shouldn't be any dogs. Have y'all heard the dogs? And then we start hearing the dog barking in the background when they're doing stuff, or we hear nails on the floor. And then we start hearing the dog, like I said, on the other side of the door. The dog is throughout the movie. I think in the end, because she has been broken down, she is now part of this new realm. The veil is cut, so there is no chance of faith or redemption or anything. All of that is off the table. She cannot be redeemed at that point. And to the point of, I'm confident that the guardian angel, quote unquote, is not a guardian angel. You know, it's a very Luciferian guardian angel. I mean, the angel of light. I mean, it's what we would imagine the angel of light is, which is the perfect lie for a demon to do, to tell somebody, oh yeah, I'm the good guy. And then, you know, she feels like she's making this transformative decision that she no longer wants vengeance. She wants the power to forgive. And that's when he smiles, because he knows how truly and utterly screwed she is as a soul in this new place. And he gets a grin on it. I genuinely think like this is her hell. Like this is the cycle she's going to be on for the rest of eternity, of going through this process. That's just my opinion.
I think she deserves it being so awful in this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
So what we both agree, though, Dave, is she did not have the happy ending it kind of portrays.
Yeah.
We both agree on that.
Yeah, when she's driving away and the car makes her jump, I'm confident that over the next hill is the house.
Which that's just the next thing she's coming to.
So, well, that's our review of our Dark Song. I recommend, if you're into that kind of thing, anything we've talked about intrigued you, if you're into Bohemian Grove or any of that conspiracy stuff, or Aleister Crowley, this is a great stylized glimpse into that. Is it 100% accurate? Absolutely not. To the point of, and I looked this up, the director, his name is Liam Gavin, he's an Irish director. He actively had parts of the ritual changed out of reverence for the actual ritual, which means he knows the actual rituals, and he had the symbols and a lot of the actual process changed to out of reverence for the Abramelin. But if you're into that kind of stuff, it is a really cool picture of reminding us that a lot of the stuff that we call quote unquote magic is just mental trials at the end of the day, in my opinion. So I enjoyed it. It's not for everybody.
No,
I guess is the final word, obviously.
To a much, 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 much lesser degree of what you just said. Much, much, much lesser degree. Not discussing a cult and whatever, but go see like a mentalist, which is considered magic and is all mental trials. And if you see a good one, they literally tell you that like nothing you see here is magic, but
you're going to think it is.
Yeah. Not from hallucinations and not from sleep deprivation or breaking someone down, but even just still manipulation of the brain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why that stuff was quote unquote dangerous back in the day. You know, you could make somebody believe something, and then if you made somebody believe something, you had a power over them.
We've learned that through a lot of campfire tales.
We sure have.
All I want to say is, if you look at especially like older cult leaders, even some current ones, there's a lot of ritualism involved.
Oh, yeah. Once you get a person believing that you are whatever you say you are, bad stuff is bound to happen next. So, look at a big chunk of modern religion.
Well, I mean,
good night, folks. No, thanks everybody for listening. We hope you've enjoyed it. We'd love to hear your feedback if you've seen this. I am genuinely curious if you're somebody who also enjoys this movie. I'd love to get your feedback on this, because we're such a small community of weirdos. But I'd love to hear from you. But before you do that, let's talk to Eli. Tell us what is going to be, I can only imagine, what you would want to talk about on Campfire Tales to follow up A Dark Song.
So we're going to talk about Bigfoot. No, just kidding.
Sweet. I'm ready for round 2 of Bigfoot talk. I need that in my life.
I got a little ritual ditty we're going to discuss. We're gonna talk about some things and stuff. Little fun little ritualistic tale, you would say.
Ooh.
It'll be a ditty.
A little teaser there.
Ditty.
A little teaser. Yeah. I don't want to spoil, because I don't want anybody to look up
Don't do any homework. Just
I want people to go to this blindly, including YouTube. I haven't even told you to.
100%. And that's what I was going to tell our audience is Eli is keeping it from me and Jamie more than anything.
That's why he's doing. We go into all campfire tales, I feel like blindly to some degree.
Because that's where Eli wants us. He wants us in a suggestive state.
I definitely don't do that on purpose.
He also weirdly tells us not to eat for 3 days prior to.
I mean, that's just so you're pure. I need you to come into this pure. I definitely am not using you two as sacrifices for anything. Don't even worry about it.
Don't even.
Who brought it up? Who even brought that up?
What a weird thing to say.
Yeah, Jamie, why'd you say that?
So if you want to follow us, you can do that on our social medias. That is X at Wicked While We Are, Slasher, the horror only community at Wicked While We Are there as well. On Instagram at Wicked Wild Pod, or you can see our smiling faces every single week as we produce these movie reviews and campfire tales. We're on YouTube. Just look up the Wicked Wild Podcast and you'll find us there. Anything else? We're getting awfully close to Christmas and we haven't even mentioned once. I feel like I've let y'all down for not making y'all celebrate Christmas.
Not me.
Yeah.
I will say I have seen Jamie's school Christmas tree. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I was going to actually send it to Eli and see if he was proud of me for at least what I did. So wait, it got a little bit more. And not that anybody has to listen to this. And it's not like we're taking a tour of my apartment right now. But I did this year. I did a all black Christmas tree. It's fucking awesome. It's got the only ornaments on it are all black. And some purple, and then some gray skulls. Uh-huh. But it's like a full goth Christmas tree. Then my front door always had a wreath that was like dark flowers and 2 skulls. I bought these tiny little Santa hats. I just put them on top of this.
Oh, really? That's all you added to those? I thought the whole wreath was for the Christmas, just the Santa hats. That's fantastic. Little Santa hats,
and then I bought like since I'm new to the suburbs, I'm new to having all these home goods stores around me. And I don't just mean home goods. I mean at home goods, Home Sense.
Have you started going to them, Jamie? I mean, don't tell me it's true.
Yeah, Michael's I've always gone to. But like, you know what I'm saying? In one day, I went to like 5 of them. So I got this stupid little like sparkly teal tree shape. It's just a cone, basically. It's a fucking cardboard cone, but it's like sparkly teal. But then I carved out a hole in one of those skulls from the tree and put it on the top. So this is the outside of my apartment as people.
Merry Christmas, MFers.
They're like, people walk by and they're like, Mommy, why does a lady have all the skeletons on Christmas trees?
I just love it.
That's where Krampus lives, Billy.
Yeah.
You better be good.
There. We'll send the skull lady after if you don't listen.
I also, for anybody who needs a quick
your skull will end up on that tree.
If anybody needs a quick decorating tip, because even when I used to actually festively decorate, this is really easy. And I did it this year, but it's with black. But you take like your hanging pictures around the house. It doesn't have to be every one. And you wrap them like a present. And then you put a big bow on it or like, and it just, no, Eli, don't make that face at me. It's awesome because like, so I have this big Friday the 13th part 3 poster, right? And I think I've showed you guys before because it matches my apartment pretty nicely. It's like purple and teal. But like it's a Friday the 13th poster and it's pretty big and it's like in the center of like my living room. So I took that and I wrapped it in black wrapping paper with a silver bow. And like with my tree, it's just like I got the most perfect length.
And after Christmas, Jamie gets to unwrap her own decor.
Yeah.
Jamie was with me when I bought this poster.
We were on the same page about not liking Christmas.
But at least I don't. But I really just wanted to do this decor. Yeah, like I really wanted a black Christmas tree. Like, have you looked at some of them? Like mine came out pretty cute.
I will say though, I did buy last week for the first time in my life, I bought a Christmas ornament.
Whoa. Like for yourself.
It was a Cagner, wasn't it?
It was Lord of the Rings.
I bought one for myself and one for Mary.
Okay.
Mary was this little Sam Christmas ornament.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah.
And then mine was a replica of Bag End from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, of course it was.
So I bought, but you had to buy 2 of them to get the deal. I was just going to buy the Bag End. I'm going to cut the string off.
That's why Mary got a Sam. Okay.
Then she got Sam.
Now, important question. Is your replica of Bag End pre-marred door or post-marred door?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Does it have the mark on the door? If it doesn't, you need to put it on there.
So it doesn't have it on the ornament, which I am going to put on it, but the ornament's small. But I also bought at the same time, they had a, they said it was a change jar thing. I don't know. I'm gonna put it on display. It's bigger. It does have the mark on the door. So
Okay.
Technically, I have one of each.
You have both because that's the power move.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's the Pro Tour move, but I did when I looked at the ornament, I was like, oh, so you're basing this off Token's original work. Oh, okay, nice. And I did look at the door, and I did do the. The guy was like,
disappointed.
Okay? The guy was like, everything okay? I was like, well, I saw you have the mark on this change jar, whatever you're calling it, which I will buy. Doesn't have the mark on the door. Just don't have made that mistake.
Buy the crap, nerd. That's
basically how he looked at me.
Hey, Jamie, just a thought, just a question I have for you.
Yes, sorry.
Throughout our conversation of this movie, we knew that Solomon is a wizard. Obviously, he was the one who was hired to do this, and Sophia became a witch through her little side quest spell throwing that she was doing. So by the end, does that make the two of them brewmates?
Oh my god!
That's it, Jamie.
Yes.
Night night.